Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night, Hellblazers, wherever you are in the world right now. This is Chris Gordon and I welcome you to Ramblings of a Hellblazer. Well friends, today I bring you a special episode. It has been my pleasure today to talk with and bring your questions to an actor who appeared on episode 11 of Constantine, A Whole World Out There. As Carter, a young college student who along with his friends accidentally summoned something very evil from beyond, which ultimately didn't turn out too good for them. So listeners, I bring to you the one, the only, Will Campbell. Okay, hi Will, and thanks for joining me on Ramblings of a Hellblazer. It's an absolute honour to be able to talk to you today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So basically I've just been doing these podcasts for Hellblazers and thought it would be a good idea to ask the cast and crew for interviews so you can share your experiences of filming Constantine with the fandom as well as your other areas. Your appearance in A Whole World Out There as Carter was excellent. It happens to be one of my favourite episodes, because even though I love them all, this one actually explores the possibility of other realities existing alongside our own, which has fascinated me for years. I've got several questions which have been sent to me by various Hellblazers across the fandom, and if that's okay, we'll kick off with.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. Let's jump right in.
Excellent. So, when did you decide you wanted to have a career in acting?
It's actually an interesting story, and I guess it starts in sort of high school. I was involved really heavily in the theater program that we had at my high school.
Uh-huh.
I was involved heavily, I guess, because I was one of the only ones who actually really wanted to do anything in theater, as opposed to everyone else who thought it was just a regular time to just sort of,
goof around.
Goof around. But yeah, so I did all of that through high school, and then once, as you call it, uni came around. I just love saying that word.
Because you're clued up on us here.
So once it came around, I kind of decided, I guess, that I needed to ditch all of the idea of theater is sort of not something you can sustain as a career for whatever reason, I thought, which isn't true, but I thought that. And so I thought I needed to get a quote-unquote real profession. So I studied mathematics for a year.
Okay.
I like mathematics. I still do. I think it's really interesting. But I don't get up in the morning and go, boy, I just want to do math. So, so after a year, I ended up leaving and sort of spent a lot of time sort of figuring out sort of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sit and just sort of think about different careers I wanted to try, and they kind of went all over the place, everything from like IT to, TV host to CIA interpreter. I mean, they went all over the place. And then I realized after a while, I was like, I don't actually want to live these people's lives in the real world. I want to pretend to live these people's lives.
All right.
I was like, that's acting, in a way. And so that was kind of the realization where I was like, well, maybe I should be an actor.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that's sort of how it came around.
Sounds like very similar ideas to what I had when I was going through. It was MI5 and British Army and stuff. MI5 spy.
Yeah. Everyone has the spy thought at one point where they go, that sounds like that could be really cool. Just
oh yeah, definitely
listening on secrets and whatnot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was put off when you had to move to London and worked out that the salary was extremely low for what they did. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not happening.
Yeah, you think it'll all be James Bond, and then a lot of it is like getting coffee for people who listen to like chatter for like 8 hours a day. So Yeah, it's not exactly, Aston Martins and martinis and whatnot. So,
No, sadly.
yeah. I know. Unfortunately, that's the way you get more government jobs, honestly.
Exactly.
Incentives like that.
I know. But obviously for you doing acting, that might be a possibility now.
Well, yeah.
All right, cool. How have you found the journey into acting? Have you to get where you are now? Has it been a difficult one to get into the TV industry?
Yeah. It's a very. It's difficult but rewarding. It's challenging because the competition is it's not. It's not what people make it out to be.
Right.
But it is challenging. But it's incredibly rewarding. I think. I think the people who get a lot of work and a lot of jobs are the ones that stick around, not because of fame and the idea of sort of this validation or from other people, but because they just love it so much. And I kind of fall into that second category. I don't care about fame. I don't care about any of that sort of stuff. I want to work, and I want to act. And so I think that's more fun for me. It's just being able to be like, well, I get to be paid to do what I love, basically, which is great for me. It's kind of, my dream. So I think it's incredibly fun, and I'm learning new stuff every day.
That sounds really, really good and really, really fascinating. I think as well, what you hit the nail on the head there as well. I think there's a difference between people who just do it for money, fame, compared to people who love their job. You can say that in every industry. I worked in IT for 15 years. It's not as fun as what I would love to do, which is what you do. But to be honest, I never took that. I used to do stuff in high school and uni after that as well, pantomime, panto dames and things. But I just sadly never actually followed that dream. But you can see definitely. I think in some, especially with some of the people, I'm not going to name anyone. I don't want to get sued. You can see where people are obviously they don't love it. And they just seem to be going through motions a lot of the time in certain things.
Yeah.
Whereas, like yourself, the character building, you really throw yourselves into the character and it shines through, and it's much more interesting for someone watching. I think, seeing that.
Oh yeah, and and that's not to say that it's all sunshine and roses all the time. There are days where it feels like work. Where it's like so we need you to flip this light switch on and off for about an hour while we just get different shots of that. And you're like, well, there's not, that's not particularly fun. But, we go really late into the night sometimes, and that's not crazy fun either. And you have to, or it's freezing cold and you have to act like it's not, like it's a summer evening or whatnot. There are times when it kind of sucks, but if I wanted to do it, if I wanted to do something else, I'd be doing it right now. But we all get into this industry because we sort of, at a certain level, we seek some level of validation from our peers of look at this thing we can do. But I think the people who don't last, the people who show up and try and make it in 5 years and then leave, are the people who just want to go to Hollywood parties and and hobnob with all these fancy people.
Yeah, like you say, it's a proper way of life. You really have to put up with the rough stuff as well as getting involved with everything that goes with the good stuff. So it does sound very rewarding career in full. So moving on from there, have you actually done any theatre work before, or did you go straight into TV and film?
Well, I did theater work through high school, that sort of thing, but I've never done any. I've never done any professional theater. I'm not opposed to it. It's kind of, they say film and TV is the director's medium, but theater is the actor's medium. Theater, a lot of the storytelling relies heavily on the actor because there's not ornate sets, and usually there's not, costume, and there's no editing really that occurs. So a lot of it relies on the actor and the dialogue to sort of carry the story along.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more freeing as an actor. I think you get a lot more possibilities to do great work, but to each their own. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Yeah.
Okay, so that means you would consider if an opportunity came along at the right time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I only did theatre when I was little and just loved it. But you're right. I think there's definitely much more of an emphasis on the actors themselves. You're there in the limelight. There's no takes, no retakes. Everything's. You've got to go straight.
You don't. Yeah, you don't shoot it out of order on theater, which can be really, really helpful as an actor because you can sort of ride the emotional wave all the way through it. Which is, really good. It's helpful rather than having to having to emotionally prepare 2 minutes right before we start shooting, so that you can come in like at the height of an emotion, which is more challenging. But it's fun.
That must be really difficult to just switch an emotion on just like that.
I mean, and that's where that's where the hard work comes in, of just sort of sitting around, and that's where the craft comes in of constantly working it, of being able to get to that, because you don't start off that way. You start and it might take you an hour. And you work on shaving it down to half an hour. And then the idea is you shave it down to hopefully being able to do it in 30 seconds or whatnot, and then in 30 seconds you can just come in at the height of an emotion, screaming, crying, hysterical, Yeah. And that's the goal.
You see, I'd have to sit back and I'd think of something really sad or get someone to punch me or something just so I could.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we do. I'm a Meisner trained actor, and so a lot of what we do revolves around imagination work. So we just sit and think of things, to get us sad or angry or whatnot.
All right, cool. Sounds really, really interesting as well. So, moving on to Constantine now. Were you excited to be such a part of such an interesting TV show?
Well, yeah. So I didn't know, because I never grew up. I didn't grow up a comic book fan.
Yeah.
I was far too interested in video games. Like one of my friends, growing up, he was into comic books, and I was like, yeah, but the video games, they move, like you can interact with them. Like that was what I was all about. So I didn't know anything about Constantine. And when I auditioned for the role, I don't even think they had been doing a PR campaign at that point, because they shoot. For the season, they shoot about 12 episodes before they even air the first one, if they've been greenlit for 13 episodes. Okay. And so we were I was in episode 11, I'm pretty sure. And so we ended up. So I didn't know really anything about it. To me, it was just it's kind of, as an actor we kind of were like, oh, it's a job, cool, I'll do whatever it takes, but you don't really appreciate the sort of universe that it might create. I mean, I'm sure Mark Hamill, when he was doing Star Wars, I'm sure he didn't feel like, this is gonna really interest a lot of people for decades to come.
Yeah, true.
I feel like he was just like, it's a job, great. So, but yeah, and then once I got it, I was really excited, and then I was like, so it's like the movie with Keanu Reeves, and then a lot of comic book people were like, no, stop.
That's a bad place to go. Bad place to go.
Yeah, don't start there. And so, it's interesting to kind of suddenly delve into this world that has this sort of very rich history. I think it's kind of unlike anything I've done before, where it's just sort of like the universe is just made up in the writer's head, whereas like we have all this canon to look back on and and create different things. So that was interesting. And I really liked it. I liked everything about that shoot. It was great.
Oh, fantastic. So what was the best part of being on Constantine for the time that you were there?
Really, it was the people. I haven't been on terribly too many sets, but I have been on some sets where, there have been kind of big egos or whatnot, and or at least just people who are perhaps not the nicest people. And not to a fault to them. It's probably just that they're working 120-hour weeks and they just don't have time to deal with them. But the people on Constantine, I did not meet an unhappy person, or at least someone who was an asshole or anything like that. I mean, everyone was just incredibly nice and accommodating and very friendly and just so much fun to work with, because when you work on a TV show, especially as an actor, you have a lot of downtime. It's a lot of like showing up to base camp and you just sit around for a while until they need you. And so you end up just you try and pass the time by striking up a conversation with anyone who's not doing anything. And everyone was just great. Even down to the drivers and and all those people. Everyone was fantastic. So yeah, that was my favorite part for sure, was just getting to work with such great people.
All right, brilliant. I mean, it's nice to hear, because I've heard it from other people as well, and from a fan, as part of the fandom when we were going through the Save Constantine. I know, the likes of Matt, Harold, and Angelica. I'll try and pronounce it correctly. The fan interaction that they have, they had, at least they still have. It just shows how much of a close-knit community, and Charlie as well. They're all very, very. It seems everyone seems to be very close on that set, and very
everyone
enthused about the whole thing.
It really was like stepping into kind of a big family. I mean, Matt he's a joker. He's funny on set. He likes to crack jokes, and he likes to keep it light, kind of. Especially when it's 3:30, 4 in the morning, and we're all kind of tired, and he's trying, and he's professional. I mean, he can really turn it on when he needs to. It's just in between he'll crack a joke every now and then, and he's a great guy. Harold's great. I met him, albeit briefly, but he was fantastic. I mean, it really did seem like everyone was just a great big family, and they had only been shooting for, at that point, 11 episodes, which was kind of nuts. That they were already that close.
Well, yeah, because that's not a really long time to to get people together like that. So that's really good too. Cool. It's always nice to hear that everyone's so friendly around the whole set and welcoming to everybody. Okay, this one's a bit of a strange one. This is, how freaked out were you when they put the Ziploc bag over your face?
Yeah, I mean, it was, when it actually came time to do it, I wasn't that nervous, because I had already had 2 safety briefings with the stunt coordinator, and we had a whole system worked out about, how we were going to do it only for 10 seconds, and then he was going to take the bag off. And then if I didn't have any air, we had about 14 different hand placements to tell him to take the bag off if I didn't have any air. So, but driving up, knowing that was driving up the set and knowing that was on the schedule for the day was a little intimidating. I've never done anything like that before. I've never had that sort of a stunt done before, so it was a little intimidating. But I mean, the great thing about TV and stuff like that is, a lot of it is incredibly safe, and they spend a lot of time planning everything out, and talking it over. So yeah, by the time we did it, I was totally safe.
Fantastic. Was that
even though it was?
Sorry,
Say
carry
again?
on. No, please carry on. It's all right.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, even though it was a real bag, I thought it was going to be like a stunt bag, like a bag that had holes in it. No,
Yeah.
it was just it was a bag that you would like find your newspaper wrapped in or something.
Oh, God.
I mean, it was it was like a Ziploc bag. I mean, it was really
Yeah.
so yeah, there were moments where it was like I can't breathe.
Oh, that's scary. That's one of the worst ways to go. That and drowning. I just couldn't do
Yeah,
it.
no, it's pretty. So I was. We did do the bag, and then I had to really act like I was suffocating. And so what they did was during part of it, they would take it really. I would get a huge breath of air, and then they would pull it really tight against my face, and then I would suck the bag in, and and what happened? You don't realize it, but you understand the logic of it, but the bag really just presses up against your nose and your mouth, so it's not even, you can't even get a breath in, and that, even though I knew everything was safe and I was fine. There was just that animal instinct part of my brain the first time it happened of me being like, I can't breathe. This is a little scary. And then I kind of reminded myself, oh yeah, I'm not actually dying. But yeah.
I'm cringing listening to you talking about that. Was it Andy Rusk, was it? Who was the stunt coordinator on it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Cool. How many takes did it take to do that death scene? How many times did you have to go through that and putting that bag on your head?
Well, yeah. So the death scene is spread out. We spread it out over 2 days, not because it took so long, but because we had to do my death in the alternate dimension, and then we had to do the sort of the jib shot that we had with where I'm dead at the university on the sidewalk. And so we did those on 2 separate days. The death scene in the alternate dimension, I don't know what the technical term for it was, but we did it, I think it's on a roll. We did the takes on a roll, where basically they don't call cut in between each take. Yeah. We would just do take after take after take, and they would just keep rolling the whole time.
Oh, right, okay, and choose the best one.
Yeah, and so we had 2 camera setups. So we did a master, which was just the beginning. We just got the beginning of the scene, and then we had, if I remember correctly, we had a camera. We had a handheld rig in front of me, and then in the room that was to my right, there was a camera on a dolly, if I remember correctly. Okay. Yeah, and so they would just roll, and we would just do it in 10-second bursts so that I could get air.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then I would get air, and he would put the bag on, and we would go, and we would keep doing it. And so, I don't know, we must have done that, I don't know, 15 or 20 times. It was so short because we would only do it in 10-second bursts, so it really only ended up being not very long. But by the end of it, I was sweating. I mean, it was kind of a workout. It took a fair bit, but I don't remember it being exhausting. And then the second day we did the jib shot, and they wanted me to have my eyes open. But it was so bright that I kept blinking because the sun. We shot it. I forget when we shot it. It was maybe the second or third shot of the day, so it was probably early in the morning.
Yeah.
And then so I kept blinking, and they have this close up on me, and I'm supposed to be dead, and I kept going over to Harmony, who's the first AD, and I was like, Harmony, I'm so sorry, I can't. I'm forcing my eyes open, but I just can't help it. I'm blinking because it's so bright. And she's like, that's okay. Try one with your eyes closed. And I did it, and that's the one they kept. That's the one they took. So. Yeah, that's the one on the episode. So yeah.
Oh, excellent. Did you ever do the Bloody Mary challenge yourself? And if so, how did it turn out?
No. I I was like a very it was like a very like scared. That's not a great representation. I didn't like horror movies as a kid, and I would get like freaked out easily if I saw something like that. So it was I was not crazy about like putting myself in a situation where I might freak myself out. So no, I avoided stuff like that, like the plague.
Fair enough. Do you believe in the supernatural?
Well, interesting. Sort of question. I don't really know. I think the jury's still out on that. I see things that are sort of evidence sort of for maybe, and then I see sort of the arguments against it, and I'm just sort of like, yeah, both sides make sense, I guess.
Oh.
Because if you think about it from a physics standpoint, I mean, not to get too new agey, but energy has to be conserved. So, Albert Einstein believed in the afterlife because he thought energy couldn't be destroyed. And so I don't know. It's possible. I still won't do that Bloody Mary challenge, though. That's for damn sure.
No, to be honest, I don't think I'd do that one. that and Ouija boards, I would just stay well away from.
Yeah, Ouija boards too.
Yeah, scare the hell out of me.
No,
Okay.
shut it down.
Yeah, I'll do ghost hunts and stuff around haunted buildings because I do believe in it, but yeah, not a Ouija board. So that kind of, anyway, brings me to you talked about the physics and obviously Einstein there, so, and with your maths background, what are your real beliefs about alternate realities and the multiverse theory? Not in great depth, because I'll get lost.
I think it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting sort of. I haven't looked at the actual paper that discusses sort of multiverse. That theory of sort of every time you observe something, you sort of create the alternate universe in which the other case is true. I haven't actually looked at it, so I don't know for sure. But I mean, I just sort of understanding the gist of it. I mean, it makes logical sense because a lot of it is, if a lot of it is probability, then the probability should add up at some point. And sort of, if the math isn't adding up, that was his sort of way of making the math work.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but I don't know. I don't think there's any sort of real sort of data that shows for sure. But who knows? That's the fun part about science.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I've listened to a fantastic podcast, which I recommend to anyone, yourself as well, is called The Infinite Monkey Cage, with Professor Brian Cox. I don't know, Professor Brian Cox, have you heard of him?
Oh, yeah, Brian Cox, absolutely.
Yeah, he actually runs it with, what's his name? Someone O'Brien, Irish comedian.
Brian Greene?
No, Darian O'Brien. Yeah, he's a comedian, but he's actually a physicist as well. He went into comedy after that. But the podcast the podcast they bring specialists of like mathematics, physics, chemistry on board as well, and then a comedian. They discuss all different theories, and one of them was about the multiverse theory, and it was absolutely fascinating. It lost me in places because I really haven't got a mathematical or scientist brain, but listening to them explain it to everyone, it was like, that's such like the Big Bang. There are constant Big Bangs, they were saying, and it just creates constantly going on, and all these universes are being created left, right, and center, all over the place.
Yeah, that's the kind of crazy bit about quantum sort of mechanics and string theory like that, where you just sort of get into that sort of crazy realm that just sort of continuously you just go, what?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, string theory. That was it. It was just I was blown away. I was driving to work, and I was just thinking to myself, you know what? I'm tiny. It was just, when you're thinking about all, you say quantum physics, quantum theory, and all this string theory, and it was just like, my God, this is, it could just absolutely blow your mind.
Yeah.
which is too much for my little podcast to comprehend. As in myself, not my listeners. I just haven't got the capacity to actually contemplate how much of a that would be. But it'd be fantastic if we could ever actually prove that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I think there's maybe only 1,000 people in the world who actually have the capabilities to fully understand all of that stuff. Anyway, so,
I think so. Yeah, it's, you've got it. Yeah,
you're in good company.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I read A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking as well, because he's another kind of hero of mine in a way, because I think he's obviously really intelligent for what he does.
Yeah.
I didn't understand a damn word of it after page 2, but I persevered, and that was just the introduction.
Right. No, it's very it's very it's dense for sure.
It is, yeah. Okay, so moving back to acting in Constantine, and you've mentioned, obviously, and I see if you've got any other interests beyond acting. You've mentioned you're a keen mathematician. Is there anything else?
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, you enjoy maths. You understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Have you got any other interests beyond the acting that you're involved in?
Yeah, I'm a musician. I've been a classically trained pianist for coming up on 12 years this December. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Have you played anywhere in any concerts or?
I mean, I've done sort of regional sort of stuff, sort of around my hometown of Austin, but never any sort of. I didn't sell out any grand halls or anything. Yeah.
Oh no, music's a lovely way to just lose yourself into and go with it.
Yeah,
it's great.
And it's different from acting, which can be nice to sort of break things up a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that. If you can choose your next show to be on, what would it be?
My original thought would have been Game of Thrones, but I don't think I would have lasted very long.
They all get killed off.
Yeah. Because I do love that show. It's probably my favorite show running right now. I just enjoy it a lot. But yeah, so I think I'd only be on there for a little bit, which would be kind of sad. But yeah, so I'd probably have to say House of Cards.
Oh, right, okay,
I'm a huge Kevin Spacey fan. I've been a fan of his ever since I saw Glenn Ross, and I saw him go toe to toe with Jack Lemmon, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, right, cool. My wife's a huge Kevin Spacey fan as well, but for another reason. Yeah, no, that would be actually good. House of Cards, I've watched a couple of episodes. I've not seen much of it at the moment, but I do like the... It's intense.
It's a brilliant show.
It's my type of. I'm very dry, very sarcastic. My humour, so I'm sure my listeners will attest to if they hear. So yeah, Kevin Spacey's role in that just seems very, very my sort of cup of tea of how he plays people around, and I've really got to get myself into that more when I get a chance to.
Yeah, no, his character is so interesting. Of just how he's this ultimate manipulator. If you like that, Halt and Catch Fire, which is on AMC. I don't know if you would be able to get it over where you are,
right.
but it's stars Lee Pace, who he played the Elf King in the Hobbit movies.
Okay.
He's great. He's fantastic, and it's about computers in the 1980s and the sort of computer race to be number one, and it's fantastic. It's a great show.
I'll give that a try.
But
I should be able to get it somewhere on Netflix or somewhere over here, I think.
Yeah, the first season is on Netflix. That's true.
All right, cool. I'll give that a go. What future plans do you have at the moment? Any new projects on the horizon?
Not at the moment. I'm currently in training at the Joanne Baron D.W. Brown studio in Los Angeles, California. They're a Meisner training school. They've had a lot of really famous people go through there. Jason Hall, who was the screenwriter for American Sniper,
Wow.
He went there. Halle Berry is an alum of them. Robin Wright, who is on House of Cards, went through there. So it's a great program, and anyone who's in LA should go check it out.
No, that sounds
that's my plug.
Yeah, your endorsement. No, that's cool. Yeah, that sounds really, really interesting. I just really wish I could have followed and done something like that myself, but it's too late now.
Well, I mean, do like community theater. Do they have that over there?
They do, yeah. They have pantomimes and stuff. I'd love to do that. I did a pantomime game once, and it was probably the best fun I've had ever.
Yeah,
it was great, absolutely brilliant. Just love seeing people laugh, even if it's even if it's just laughing at me for looking a complete prize idiot.
Well, that's what comedians are, aren't they? That's the quote. Is they're the comedians become comedians because they want to control how people laugh at them.
Yeah, that's very true.
So yeah,
modern day jesters.
I think that's totally valid.
All right, cool. Well, that actually brings us to the end of all the questions and the interview for today. Right. Will, is there anything that you'd like to say to the fandom at large while we've got the chance? Just throwing you on the spot. Sorry, I know.
No, it's great. Yeah, no, just keep watching the show, and keep talking about it because, that's how shows come back is a solid fan base that just grows and grows until they bring it back in some form or another. So, yeah, do it. Get into it.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. If you just stay on the line for a second after I say goodbye. So, everyone, that was Will Campbell from Constantine. I thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute honour to talk to you, Will. And very interesting as well. So thank you very much again. And
thank you.
From all the fandoms and Hellblazers, I will say goodbye. And goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.